got a little bit more effort put into it, and show you the sort of the different pieces that are in this and how it was put together. So this is all still in the layers. What I'm going to do is pop all these off. This is the piece that I started with. So the original image was just a bit wider than this, and I selected it so that it would create this little point right here. Once I had this piece, I needed to select out the sections of these different arches, and I didn't want to have to do it on both sides. So I did it on one side of the image first, then I duplicated it and flipped it so that I got the whole piece. So if I hadn't done that first, I would have had to select all the way around both things. Selection was mostly the polygonal lasso with some magic wand for the little red tree there. You'll see some sort of blurry stuff in here. That's stamping that I did for another layer. So I kind of like the idea of sort of an archway that is sort of looking into like different places. Okay, so it's like almost each section of the arch is like its own little world. So the first piece that I put in was this other landscape image, and all I did with that was slide that image in behind and erase. So I brought that picture in, I resized it, and I erased, and actually you'll notice that there's two little corners right there that need to go away as well. So I will actually just erase those now. I did color adjustments as well as a lighting effect on this to make that tree in the center seem a little bit more glowy. And then also this is where the stamping took place, so I used the clone stamp in this area around the trees, okay, to make it look as if there wasn't just like a harsh line here, so that the two different little worlds kind of blend a little bit in the middle. So then the next part was to add like separate pieces inside each of the other arches. So I started putting this little piece in with the trees. What I would do is duplicate this and flip it and try and wrap those trees right around each other. So I warped that layer to make it curve and fit into there. Oh, there's another layer. So that's a little bit more stamping, so that creates a little bit better blending into the bottom there. If you were to do multiple pieces like this, that would count as sort of additional. Just one piece, like I said, such as just putting in a different sky, is not going to count as an added object. I could still sort of consider putting in some kind of object into this. So for example, you want to think about whether it's going to be like a man-made object or a natural object. It could be a different tree, it could be, you know, a leaf. Also, size is interesting. Okay, so something that looks too big or too small or just out of place. Okay, so just because I know I have this picture right here, it might not be exactly what I would put in. I'm gonna kind of cheat and use the magnetic lasso, which I hate, but I just want to do this quickly. So there's a fairly good contrast on the edge of this, so it ought to pick it up pretty easily. it's also kind of spiky on the edges, so notice that it gets a little blurry, but one thing you need to do though is really figure out what it is you're going to put into that image and have that picture. So you don't want to be sitting around, although you are going to do your 2 separate images, so you can always start working on the other one if you need to get a picture of something. Your object could also be a person, so as you saw in the example, sometimes people used a person in the image. So again, I'm not going to tell you what to put in there. That's your imagination. Alright, I'm just going to couldn't decide if I wanted the stem or not, so. Alright, this is going to be probably huge. Yep. Throw it up on top of everything. Remember, shift and drag. I don't want this like ridiculously huge or obvious. I'm kind of thinking that, let me zoom this back in now. I'm thinking about sticking it like up on here, although I want to get rid of this bottom piece. Does that look weird? I'm just going to arrow key it around. Okay, so just an example of something that you could do. I could also maybe, stick it like on the sides, almost like it's a bush or something. I could have it like hovering, although I don't want to obscure the tree here in the middle. So again, just to show you, an idea of what you could do with something like that, where you could put it. You don't always have to keep everything centered to the middle. Also, just quickly, I had somebody has done this before, in that this does not have to be in the middle. So for instance, you could have a mirror image and not see the full side of the mirror image on both sides, so then you would have to like crop this side, or you could have another piece, so it could be thirds. So just keep those things in mind of little things you can do to show your own sort of ideas and be a little bit creative with it, other than just the flip in the middle. I think, excuse the lip smacking, I'm not going to bother saving that. That pretty much covers sort of the basics of what you need to do. This project is really about creativity and ideas and thinking about what you can do to make the image interesting. A lot